Hello, welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're learning some great vocabulary, so let's get started. Today we're learning run-of-the-mill. Run-of-the-mill is used as an adjective. Pronunciation, run-of-the-mill. You can pronounce it with v, run of the mill, but usually you hear people say run-of-the-mill. Because after of, we have a consonant with th in the, people don't pronounce the v all the time. It's more common to hear run-of-the-mill. And what does it mean? It's an adjective that means something is ordinary, regular, average. It doesn't stand out in any way. It's just average, standard, regular, normal. It's run-of-the-mill. Let's hear some examples.
He's your kind of run-of-the-mill, typical vanilla kinky guy.
Not just some run-of-the-mill doctor here to give you the means to an end.
Just your run-of-the-mill double homicide investigation.
So we noticed in the examples that some people say a run-of-the-mill car, for example. Or some people said your. It's just your run-of-the-mill car. That's right. So we can use your before this adjective, and we can use a before this adjective, if you have a countable noun like car. So example, this is a Chevy Malibu. This is a standard run-of-the-mill American car. There's nothing really special about it. It's just a normal American car. So I can say this is your standard run-of-the-mill American car. Or I can use a. This is a standard run-of-the-mill American car. So you're thinking, if standard means the same thing as run-of-the-mill, why are you saying both? Isn't that redundant? No. People like to say two things. They like to emphasize. So they say, your regular, standard, run-of-the-mill car. And people will put multiple adjectives expressing emphasis for the same thing. Let's practice. This is a Chevy Malibu. Is it a standard, run-of-the-mill American car? That's right. It's a standard, run-of-the-mill American car. Or I can say your standard, run-of-the-mill American car. Is this your standard, run-of-the-mill American car? That's right. This is your standard run-of-the-mill American car. So remember, run-of-the-mill is used as an adjective to describe a noun that is standard, regular, average, something that doesn't stand out. Today we're learning hindsight and all the different ways we can use it. Hindsight is a noun. It means the ability to see what happened after it's already happened. It's the ability to see the past. Example, he was a victim of an online scam, and he made some mistakes. They were honest mistakes. He's not stupid. He just made some mistakes, and he was a victim of an online scam. Now, that it's already happened, we can look back and say, well, this was a mistake. He shouldn't have done this. He should have done that. Because we see it in hindsight. We can see all the mistakes he made because now it already happened. We can look back on his mistakes and see that they're clearly mistakes. But at the time of making the mistake, it's not so clear. But now it is clear because it already happened. That's hindsight. So we can say in hindsight. In hindsight, it's very clear that that was not a good decision to give his personal information online. In hindsight, it's clear that it was a mistake. In hindsight, I can see that it was not a good idea to give his personal information online. Let's practice. In hindsight, was it clear that it was not a good idea to give his personal information online? That's right. In hindsight, it's clear. You can see that it wasn't a good idea to give his information online. Let's hear some examples of in hindsight.
I think most of them would say that in hindsight, it was a very valuable experience.
But now, in hindsight, on that day, the day of my baptism, my 12-year-old, 11-month body and soul.
In hindsight, I guess I could have probably driven away at that point.
In hindsight, I probably could not have picked a worse way to be honest with Mary Elizabeth.
In hindsight, I probably should have done this sooner.
Oh, you'll find out that everything looks much better in hindsight. Everything.
Only in hindsight that things get called heroic. You know, in hindsight, this all makes some sense.
We can also say we have the benefit of hindsight because we're now in this moment. After it happened, we're looking back and we can see the mistakes that he made very clearly. That's the benefit of hindsight. We have the benefit of hindsight. And with this benefit, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see clearly that it was a mistake. Let's hear some examples of with the benefit of hindsight.
With the benefit of hindsight, maybe it wasn't such a hot idea.
You know, with the benefit of hindsight.
So now, with the benefit of hindsight, we can see clearly that it was a mistake. Let's practice. With the benefit of hindsight, can we see clearly that it was a mistake? That's right. With the benefit of hindsight, we can see clearly that it was a mistake. And that's why we say hindsight is 20/20. What is 20/20? 20/20 is a numbering system that we use to talk about vision, your sight, your vision. If you have perfect vision and you don't need glasses, the doctor says your eyesight is 20/20. That's the numbering system we use to measure the quality of your vision, the quality of your sight. So if you have perfect sight, you have 20/20 vision. So if I say hindsight is 20/20, that means when you look back on what happened, you can always see things perfectly clearly because it already happened. It's easy to see other people's mistakes after they've made them. That's why hindsight is 20/20. Let's hear some examples.
Hindsight is 20/20, detective.
Hindsight is 20/20, my friend.
What do they say? Hindsight is what? 20/20.
So what do you think? After something happens, after somebody made a mistake and you look back on their mistake, you can see it was clearly a mistake because hindsight is always 20/20. What do you think? Is hindsight always 20/20? That's right. Hindsight is always 20/20. You can always see perfectly other people's mistakes after they've made them. Or your own. It's clear to see your mistake after you've made it, what you should have done. You can easily see what you should have done after you've made the mistake. Hindsight is 20/20. And why do we say hindsight? What does it mean? Sight is the same as vision. I have good vision. I have good eyesight. It's the same thing. I have pretty good vision. I have pretty good eyesight. I need glasses to read, but that's all. So I have pretty good eyesight. What about you? Do you have good eyesight? Very good. Now let's talk about hind. What is hind? Hind means back, in back. Like with words behind. See, behind. Hind means in back. We use this word for animals. The back legs of a four-legged animal are the hind legs. These are two separate words. Hind legs. Hind legs. You might think, why not say back legs? You can, but we have this special word for their legs. We say hind legs. So let's talk about animals and their hind legs. If I talk about an animal and I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, I say their hind legs. Some animals can stand on their hind legs. Let's talk about some. First, I think of dogs. Can dogs stand on their hind legs? That's right. Dogs can stand on their hind legs. What about bears? Yeah, I think bears can. Can bears stand on their hind legs? That's right. They look like people. They can stand on their hind legs. What about cats? Can cats stand on their hind legs? They can. Can cats stand on their hind legs? That's right. Cats can stand on their hind legs when they're upset or angry. What about deer? Remember, one deer, two deer. We never say deers. Can deer stand on their hind legs? They can. Can deer stand on their hind legs? That's right. Deer can stand on their hind legs too. What about elephants? I don't think so. Can elephants stand on their hind legs? That's right. Elephants can stand on their hind legs too. So now we can remember the word hindsight. We know where it comes from. Hind is back, like hind legs. Sight is vision, so hind sight. Seeing what already happened is hindsight. And we can say in hindsight. In hindsight, it's easy to see the mistakes that you made in the past. And that's why we say you have the benefit of hindsight. You have the benefit of looking in the past. You have the benefit of being in this moment right now and seeing the mistakes people made in the past. That's hindsight. And we say hindsight is 20/20. That means it's very easy to see the mistakes that people make in the past when you're in the moment right now. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.